Hi, I'm Linda Crandall, and I'd like to welcome Tiffiny Mitchell, Democratic candidate for House District 32. Thank you for coming here today.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me to take the time to come out and say hello.
Tell us at least 3 of your positions that would encourage a senior or person with disabilities to vote for you.
So a big part of my campaign is really making sure that regular people have a voice in the legislature, because that's not typically the demographic that ends up running. And that includes making sure that we stand up for people who suffer with disabilities or people who are older and really need that additional help. I want to make sure that we're able to help them. So 3 of my top issues are making sure, first and foremost, that we stand up for healthcare and protect healthcare for everybody here in the state, making sure that housing is affordable and that we really address the housing crisis, and then also finding stable funding for education. All of these are really important, I think, in making sure that we have a competent workforce that can take care of people who take advantage of services through Northwest Seniors and Disabilities, making sure that healthcare is affordable and accessible for people, and that also people can stay in their homes and not have to worry about what their housing situation is going to look like when they get older.
Thank you. Oregon Project Independence is a program that keeps seniors and people with disabilities in their own home, and yet every year proposed funding for OPI is significantly cut. What will you do to ensure and protect funding for this cost-effective program?
I think that some of the big things that I can do is make sure, A, that I really advocate for the program as someone who grew up with a single mother and my grandparents. I am really cognizant of the continued contributions that older people make to society, and that we need to make sure that people can stay in their own homes and really continue to live those productive lives. And I think even from a fiscal perspective, when we look at what the state ends up saving by really trying to make sure that people are able to stay in their own homes through the Oregon Project Independence program, it's a lot cheaper and makes a whole lot of sense. And so people can count on me to make sure that I stand up for that, because I know it's the right thing to do.
Thank you. What will you do on a state level so that seniors and people with disabilities no longer face a lack of accessible and affordable housing?
So there are a couple things that I think that we can do. First and foremost, I think that we can ensure that on a state level we're fighting to make sure that laws get passed, or we remove the encumbrances for local municipalities that really make it hard for them to make housing more affordable. We can build more affordable housing, and just ensure that we are making sure that all resources necessary are going into those programs, because it's hard for people who are working to afford housing. It's got to be a lot harder for people who are living on a fixed income. I want to make sure that people don't have to worry in their later years about whether or not they have to face housing instability, as well as for people who also have disabilities, so that they don't have to worry about that either. So,
thank you. How would you prioritize state funding, including funding that is matched with federal funds, for services to an increasing senior and people with disabilities population?
So I know that there are certain laws already that kind of prioritize that for us, but at the same time, when we look at our budgets, the budget is really a value statement for what we here in Oregon really care about. And when we consider that we have to care about the people who live here first and foremost, I think it's important that we make sure that that funding prioritizes making sure that people who need additional assistance in their homes, that are homebound, that need food to be delivered to them, that we make sure that that's available, that we have meal sites available for folks, and that we also have assistance to really help make sure that people are getting the services that they need. And like I said, I will be an advocate for that in the legislature to make sure that people have those continued services and don't have to worry about facing shortfalls in their ability to live comfortably.
Thank you. How will your experience shape the work you will do on behalf of seniors and people with disabilities?
So for me, my experience over the last 10 years of my life has been in social services. I worked for the Unemployment Insurance Department in the state of Utah. I worked for child welfare here in Oregon, and I now work for self-sufficiency for DHS. For me, my whole life has been about working in positions that really seek to help people going through the hardest times in their lives. And having seen that and really wanting to stand up for those people and making sure that everybody has a good and fair chance, especially in situations where we need to ensure greater equity to disadvantaged populations, that is something that is very close to my heart and something that I really care about, and will make sure that that is a priority for me to stand up for everybody once I get elected.
Thank you. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and share your viewpoints with us.
It's not a problem at all. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the ability to get out and tell people what I really think is important. So thank you for having me.
We've been talking with Tiffiny Mitchell, Democratic candidate for House District 32.